Okay, so if you ask me, this is the best van layout for a small micro camper van. Now I've done 2 previous van tours, linked above. However, the layout has changed again and this is the final layout because if you ask me, it's the best one for making the most with the space that you have. So I'm going to show you it one last time. Right, this is the cab of the van. I know it's nothing too exciting, but I want to talk about it because when I first got this van, it had 3 seats. So you couldn't travel from the cab to the back. And I hated that. Like, it was fun to be able to have a third person sometimes in the van, but that rarely happened because it doesn't sleep 3 people. So it was kind of just a waste of space. So I ended up taking out the 2 seats here and replacing it with 1. So it means I can now walk between the back and the front, which first of all makes it feel so much safer because before at night in the dark I'd have to get out to go in the back to go to sleep, which I hated doing. And then secondly, it just makes it so much bigger because instead of having this like wall here, we can now travel from the back to the front. And I think that's really good. So if you have one with 3, definitely consider changing it to 2 seats because it made all the difference. Okay, now please bear with me for this video because I had originally planned on doing this tour on the west coast of Ireland along the cliffs of the Wild Atlantic Way, and it would look really beautiful and aesthetic and scenic. However, life's busy and that keeps not happening because I'm too busy that I keep pushing it off. So for it to happen at all, I'm doing it today. I have no mics, I have no tripod, so we're doing it the old-fashioned way. Please watch it anyway because I think it's going to be helpful. Okay, so here we have the back of the van and I love it. I think it's so cozy. So this lovely wooden paneling was up when I got the van and I'm so happy because I think it's gorgeous. I have done this couch twice. So if you watch the very first van tour linked above, it was a bed that went the whole way across the back and then it pulled out into a double. I don't think that's the best way to go for a small van, and I explain why in my second van tour, so if you watch that one you'll see why. So I ended up changing it into a single and it's so good. So I didn't want to do like the accordion style where you pull it in and out, I just wanted something super simple. So instead my dad made me a version that flips out, and the reason I like this is it flips out and lands on the shelf of the kitchen, and voila, there you have it. Now I also have a support bar that's under the bed. I better show you actually, won't I better show you. Oh. So my father fashioned this metal support beam. There's a hole on the floor, so it pops in there, and there's a hole here on the bed. And I flip it over, it lands on top, and that means the bed is fully supported. And then I just flip the cushion over and it's now a double. Now I'm quite short, I'm 5'1", so I fit on it like this. However, I know most people won't. Now you've probably seen from my videos, I do generally have friends staying with me, and a lot of the time they don't fit, especially if you're Will Murphy because he's over 6 foot. So, accordion style pull out bit. This pops on here, so it's longer. I think that's the wrong cushion. Yeah, there's a different cushion that's meant to go here, sorry. But anyway, and then someone who's bigger will fit. So that was a little adjustment that's been made recently. But yeah, I'm really happy that we went with this like flip thing because it just makes it so easy to put away. You just lift this and flip it under. So there's no messing about, because the previous one was like a pull out and it just drove me insane. I just found it was such a like effort to get out every night that I never wanted to do it. So I was like, you know what, to use the van I want everything to be as easy as possible. God, I don't know why, but I'm really out of breath now. Right, so this is the kitchen. I mean, there's not too much to show. I've got a double gas hob. I have this tap. I've never set it down here, but it's basically a rechargeable tap. So I got it on probably Amazon, to be honest. My water tanks are underneath. So once the tap is charged, you press the button and it obviously pumps the water up into the tap. So it's actually so good. Sorry, this is so messy, but it's really handy. Here's some of my memory wall in case you wanted to see it. There's been so many adventures in this van. Now the previous owner put up this like bungee storage area, which has been a godsend. I normally put all my jackets and things up there because they're bulky and they take up a lot of storage room. Whereas when they're here at the front, I don't seem to notice them. So I love that. We've got a nice like blackout curtain here for some privacy. And then we have my fridge my gas box and my leisure battery. Now I have had trouble keeping my fridge going. I never put up solar panels on my van, and I thought that in Ireland like they wouldn't work. I have huge regret, and that's something I would definitely do again and would definitely do in the future, is to put solar panels on the roof, because a friend of mine has solar panels and it keeps her van running, her fridge, like all the time. But unless I'm driving a lot to charge that leisure battery, the fridge would die quite often, and it drives me insane. Because if you're out in the middle of rural Ireland and you lose your fridge, you have to keep going to and from a shop every time you want to eat, which is a nightmare. So I would put up solar panels. So there's a little irritation that I've had. But I did get these solar panels, these Foxtheon ones, and they're great. They're really big and they fold out, and I have the power station that attaches. So whenever I'd be parked at the beach or anywhere and it was sunny, I'd throw that outside, and at least I could keep the power station charged up, because that would tide me over with the fridge if it was to die. So top tip in Ireland, either have solar panels on the roof or definitely get something like that to keep a power station charged up. And then I also have this like sun blocker thing, which I put up at night here to stop people being able to see in, just for some privacy. Now I have these bungee cords which I use for storage. They were actually in the van when I bought it as well, but such a good idea because I am able to store so much behind here. And there's the same here, obviously. There's these metal bits on the roof, and therefore these magnetic lights. So I never put lights in the van. Like, again, I know people who have proper like electronics going on. My van's quite basic and I like it that way. So I have these magnetic lights that charge up, which I can just charge as I'm driving, and they go on the metal bits here, and they do keep the van really bright actually. So I love those. I have my little like air vent here. Now I know it's Ireland, but this van doesn't have air conditioning. And this summer, if we get the odd heat wave, it's unbearable in here. So this is almost permanently up. Thank God I can fit under barriers and tolls and stuff with this open. So a lot of the time this is just open 24/7 and it's needed. You might think Ireland's cold all the time, but by God, if there is a heat wave, I swear to God it's hotter than fricking the Mediterranean. Now I put like a deadbolt lock thing on the floor here just so that people couldn't open it from outside. And that has also made me feel a lot safer. And then I have to open this if I want to access my safe. So I put a safe in the van as recommended by my friend Laura, and it has been so good to have this. When you have like laptops and cameras and all this expensive equipment, you don't ever want to leave it alone in the van in case it gets stolen, but now I can't because I have a lovely safe. So from the back here I can access my safe and my gas box to keep my cooker going. That got wet at some point, what the hell? There's also some storage boxes under the couch, but there's actually quite a few little storage bits around the van which really help out. But that's it. That's my van red. Let me know if you agree, but I do think this is the best layout for a small van. And I've tried some other ones. But let me know what you think and follow along to see more adventures around Ireland. I forgot to say this, but my van is a Citroen Dispatch. And isn't she beautiful?